The Slingshot Phantasm has been re-released with all of its parts. Tons of wings, masts, fuselages, lots of parts and pieces. We cover them all. Enjoy the video. Do it like that. So the Phantasm system, we've done a couple other demo videos back when they only had a couple wings. The Phantasm system is going to be this complete foil chassis. It's going to be a complete foil solution. One thing Slingshot's done very well from the beginning with the hydrofoil stuff is they've kind of been able to capture a large number of different types of people and then continuously give them what those people want on all parts of the sport. Every spectrum they have it. And it's a little overwhelming, but they've done the same thing with the Phantasm setup. So carbon mass in multiple sizes and multiple thicknesses for different stiffnesses. Aluminum mass in different sizes and multiple thicknesses for stiffness options. We'll go through kind of why you'd want to get all that stuff. You can get a complete Phantasm kit with aluminum or carbon, you know, with all the parts and pieces. You can buy all the pieces separately, so just a front wing, just a rear wing, just a fuselage, just a mast, however you want to do it. Or you can get something called a lowers kit. And this is kind of a new idea that Slingshot introduced with the Phantasm setup. This is a lowers kit, comes with this bag. And a lowers kit's exactly what it sounds, it's just a lower unit. So it's going to be a fuselage, front wing, rear wing, tools, and hardware, and that's it in this bag. When you get the lowers kit, it's going to come with the covers for each wing, and then this case, tools, you know, the lithium grease, all that kind of stuff in the kit. So, I mean, it is overwhelming. You'll see, it's a lot of stuff. The good news is, when you switch over to the Phantasm chassis, it literally has a front wing, rear wing combo for anything you want to do. There's anything you want to do. You want to pump off the dock, it's here. You want a wing, it's here. You want to go surfing, prone surfing, SUP surfing, it's here. Kitefoils, there's a bunch of good ones, a bunch of really good ones. It's all here. Unfortunately, it's a whole different setup. So, you know, if you're coming off the hover glide setup, you can use some of your aluminum masts. They're the same mast with it. You just need to get the little adapter on the top here to fit in. But that's kind of the overview. So let's get into it.
I'm going to talk to you about the carbon mast for the Phantasm setup. Basically, it comes in 4 different sizes. We got the tallest at 102. The next size down is going to be the 92. Down from that is the 82 and the 72. They all come with a nice cover. So basically you get a base plate cover. So this is designed to go over your base plate. And then this is your mast cover. Really awesome, really nice. It's got Velcro, so this attaches to this all put together. So very, very great traveling solution, or just keeping your foil nice and safe while you have it together and everything. But yeah, these things are super awesome. The other thing that you're gonna get with these masts is the hardware for mounting to the board. So all the masts come with the hardware, so you can get mounted to the board. Torx
With
yep.
the hard, yeah, same tool that comes.
Yeah, and basically the tool that comes with it, it fits in here. But this tool works for everything. So this basically goes for your fuselage to mast and also fuselage to wing. So one tool puts it all together, including the bolts for your board. So that's super awesome of them. So starting at the 102. So this is the biggest that Slingshot makes. And some packages it comes with the 102. Pretty much this is going to be your main Kitefoil, or anybody that just really wants a very tall mast, like say windsurfing and such. This guy is going to be basically really dedicated to wind sports, trying to get as much clearance out of the water as possible. This one is super stiff, big foot plate for the fuselage, so gonna have a very solid connection to the foil itself. They have these little plugs here, so if you do end up stripping anything, these are all replaceable, so you can just pop those bad boys out, put in a new one, so don't have to worry about stripping anything in this setup. So we got multiple holes in the base plate for mounting this foil in exact right position on your board. So you can basically adjust it forward or aft and put the hardware in the right hole to make the foil move as far forward or as far back as you need it to. So super nice of them to be able to do that. So one of the most adjustable base plates out there for sure. Then going down to the 92. The 92 I think is going to be the most popular with most kiters and such, mainly due to the fact that you don't have to have super deep water for it, and it's a relatively good height. So basically back in the beginning of the sport, 92 was pretty much kind of the standard size for most foils mast out there. So definitely a great one for kiting, but also some guys that are getting a little bit more advanced into winging, they're also going to the 92 as well. Get a little bit bigger jumps out of their foil rig and stuff like that. So if you're into jumping, you might want to look at the 92 in the carbon. Now down onto the 82. The 82 is going to be my main go-to for winging. So basically, most of the time for winging, this thing is going to be awesome. It's going to give you plenty of clearance out of the water, so if there's any wind chop or anything like that. But one of the things that I do find is that in the taller mast, you have more drag underneath you. So when you're trying to get up on winging, you're going to have more energy with the taller mast. So taller mast can definitely work, but I think the 82 is kind of that sweet spot where you're not going to have to work too hard to get up, but you're still going to have that great clearance for riding and such. So 82 is definitely my go-to for any winging. So if you're looking to get in winging, I'll tell you 82 for sure. But for those guys that are looking to jump or something, maybe the 92. And then lastly, the 72. This thing is super awesome. So this guy will do it all. And basically it'll allow those guys that have shallower water to get out in. This is my go-to mast for surfing. But basically, like I said, not a bad mast to do everything with. So it's got enough height here that you can clear, again, any decent wind chop or anything like that. But at the same time, you're not having to worry about hitting the bottom hardly at all and everything. So the 82, you might find maybe gonna hit the bottom here and there, but with the 72, not an issue at all.
And why the 72 for surfing? What's important about a shorter mast?
So basically what we find in surfing is that when we're getting up on the board and the foil and stuff, a lot of times you're having to go over reef or over sandbars, and so having that taller mast, if you're not getting up smoothly, you can hit the bottom real quick.
For sure.
Also, when just sitting on the board, you're just hanging out with guys, waiting for the next wave, you're sitting on your board, that foil could be bouncing on that reef or on that sand bottom with the taller mast.
Okay. Okay, next up is the aluminum mast series. This is going to be very similar to the hover glide setups you guys are used to. Same deal. You know, these are all going to have the lightweight base plate, which is like the V2 base plate from the hover glide setup. The masts are identical. They're just anodized black with gray lettering. The big change is going to be this adapter on the top here. So you can see it kind of cut out for weight savings. Just a couple of counterbore holes for some socket bolts that are going to fit it on top of this. And this is what's going to key into that fuselage, right? They did a really good job with that. So you'll notice, you know, this is the same as the old hover glide. This will fit right on your old hover glide mast. You know, so if you have a hover glide mast you love, you can just get this adapter set up, which is going to come with the bolts you need, and you can hook your old mast right up to a new Phantasm fuselage, right? So, you know, I'll just speak to that briefly. So they have this lowers kit that they're selling. It's a fuselage and the 2 wings. If you already have the hover glide and you want to upgrade, you get the lowers kit, get the adapter for the mast, and then you roll with your hover glide mast until you figure out what exactly you want to do with the Phantasm. You might want to switch the front wing, you might want to shorten the fuselage, and then you commit to the carbon. Is, you know, once you're sure, like, oh, am I going to get 82 or should I go 92? That's what you do, and then you can commit to that. So the aluminum masts are going to be good for people looking for a short mast for shallow water, or they're going to be looking for, you know, a mast to kind of decrease the initial cost before you commit to the carbon in a certain length, right? You can kind of play around with these. So like we said, all interchangeable. Like the Hoverglide, you can get, you know, all 3 sizes with 1 base plate, 1 adapter, and swap them all out. Chris did a really good job of kind of going over the sizes and what they're used for. It's going to be the same thing for the aluminum. Keep in mind, we don't sell a lot of the wide stuff, but they're making a wide version of the aluminum just like the carbon in an 87 and a 103. And all these are stiffer and stronger for windsurfing. You can see the base plate's a bit different. There's no lightweight cutouts, and they made these forks smaller so they don't bend. And it's just, you know, I'm always surprised with the things windsurfers can break. They just have so much leverage. It just seems like they can just crush everything. But seriously, like my favorite part of this whole setup is the one tool situation. Even these little M6, socket bolts are the same torques as the M8s. It's just killer, right? So one tool and you take it all apart and put it all back together. So that's kind of it on the aluminum side. We'll get started with it. Two sizes of fuselage, the 710 and the 610. 10 millimeter difference, not a whole lot, or 10 centimeter difference, sorry, right there. The 710 is standard, and by standard I mean this is pretty much your go-to for everything. You'd want a shorter fuselage for pumping, you'd want a shorter fuselage for kite stuff, but it's one of those things where you're probably not going to start with this unless you know you want it. It's not going to be a thing where it's like, well, I want to get into pumping, so I'm just going to immediately start with this. You're probably going to already have a setup with a 710. Start doing it and be like, okay, I'm ready for the shorter fuselage, and we're going to go from there. That's my take on it. Any short fuselage questions, just ask us. We can kind of, get you the right answer based on your specific situation. So the fuselage is CNC'd aluminum that's anodized. So you're going to want to make sure and use like a Real X or lithium grease or the Teflon tape it comes with on all of your hardware connections. You can see, we've been using this in the salt water and it has a little bit of salt buildup. We always loosen our hardware up and we always make sure it's coated at least the first time with some sort of lubricant to keep that barrier there to prevent galling and corrosion. So that's kind of the lineup.
All right, so this is the Phantasm PFI 928. So basically, if you're looking from the Hoverglide setup, this would be the 99 Infinity. The I stands for Infinity, actually. So any wing that has an I in the end of it is an Infinity wing. If it's an M, it's made for Phantasm. And if it's an H, it's for Fred Hope. Fred Hope's personal wing. So I'm gonna walk you through the lineup right now. So this guy here is going to be your great starter wing for winging and possibly surfing. If you're just a bigger guy, heavier guy, this is a wing that you're definitely going to be recommended. And again, even if you're getting into winging, I highly recommend this wing, as it's just going to give you tons of lift at low speeds, helping you get on foil much easier. And it's a very stable wing, and also surprisingly very pumpable. So again, if you're getting into pumping, this wing is a very nice choice. All right, so now down to the 835. This is the basically 84 of the Infinity wings. This guy is, again, good for that little bit lighter rider, but again, probably if you're getting into winging or surfing, this is a great setup. This would probably be more my go-to for surfing. If I'm getting into surfing, this wing is going to be an awesome first wing for you, getting in there. And then also, it's it's going to be versatile, get you out on smaller days and everything like that. But yeah, the 835 PFI, again, that stands for Infinity with the I. Great wing, tried and true, tested for a long time with the Hoverglide setup. That's going to back us down to now the 730. Now, if you're getting into bigger surf, this is probably the wing we're going to recommend, or if you're, again, even lighter. So if you're probably around, I would say like 150 or so in weight, then you're probably going to be recommended the 730 PFI. This wing, super awesome. Very good pumping wing. Everything. It also has turn down wingtips. So again, if you're a little hesitant about getting into the sport because you're afraid you might take a strike on the side, they did the turn down wingtips to help keep you safe on this wing. So very good wing to start with. Now we're gonna go in. So now that brings us to the PTM, which is actually designed for the Phantasm. The N stands for Phantasm, and this is the 926 wing here. This wing here, I find, is excellent for winging. So I've been out and everything on a few days with it in the water. And you'll see clips of me riding this in a little bit lighter winds. But one thing I love about this wing is that the way that it's rolled and everything, it's just very, very friendly to roll side to side. So
for a high aspect.
For a high aspect, that's what. Yeah. So for a wing this wide, the biggest issue you run into with wide wings like this is that they just really don't want to roll that easy. But this wing keeps its very lively, so it's really awesome because you get that surf feel, but you have this higher aspect wing, which again helps get you up on the water sooner and everything like that. But what I did find is that because of this little bit of curvature, there are flatter wings that will get you up a little bit sooner than this wing. But like I said, this wing is a very playful, very fun wing. I love it to death. Yeah, definitely a very fun wing, and like I said, with the high aspect, you would expect it to want to be ridden more flat, straighter, but this thing loves to roll and everything. But with that width, does make it very stable. So when I go into my jibes and tacks and switching my feet, I find it very friendly to also facilitate that. So having a little bit wider wing helps that roll a little bit. So when you're switching your feet around, you're gonna find a little bit easier time. And again, if you really wanted stability and you're kiting, I've even kited on this. You'll actually see it in the video of me kiting it. So it's a very fun all-around wing for sure.
So 926 sounds big, but would you recommend a high aspect wing like that for somebody new to winging?
So as somebody new, it's kind of a toss-up. So the stability you get for the wingspan is nice, but I think with the higher speeds that they require and everything, I'd still probably recommend you towards the the Infinity lineup with the PFI. Just for that initial getting going. These tend to stay a little bit lower speed, where this thing is going to get going a little bit faster. So really, if you're jumping in, I would probably recommend these guys first.
Yeah, like an intermediate step up, unless you have experience.
Exactly, yeah. If you've already got experience and you, like I said, you're coming from a hover glide setup where you've already had these wings and you're efficient, then I would definitely say this is the first step into the Phantasm.
Exactly, you'll struggle.
Yeah, with the Phantasm you want to do.
You'll struggle a little bit unless you know what you're doing.
Unless you know what you're doing. Which brings me to the bread and butter, the one I really, truly love. This is a PTM 1001.
1001.
This thing is super wide, super flat. So this thing, I found that, it takes a bit speed to get it up on foil, but once it's gliding, it is amazing. This thing has tons of glide, super stable. So doing tacks, jibes, no issue at all. So very fun wing. But that speed is really cool. And then if you can catch any type of wind swell or anything like that while winging, or say you get out and prone surf this thing, you're gonna have a lot of glide and a lot of speed there. So this is one of my favorite wings out of the whole lineup. I didn't expect to like it as much with a wide wingspan, because I do like the surfy feel. So that's where 926 really comes in. But again, like it didn't feel too bad. Like again, it wants to turn as well, but that extra bit of width does help out in those transition when you're switching your feet out and everything.
So do you have anything to talk about as far as Slingshot board versus other brands in positioning the mast? I seem to remember there was a...
Yeah, so what's interesting is, basically a lot of companies, we're slamming our foils as far forward in the box as we can with winging and such, and even surfing now. I'm pushing my boxes further forward, but I do find that the Slingshots, they have this a great lift capability, and because of that, I would say you want to start more mid to back into the box. So if I'm kiting, I'm pretty much most of the way back, like maybe 1 or 2. If I'm winging, I'm bringing that up to maybe 5 or 4. And surfing, same thing, keeping it around 5 or 4. But that's due to the way these things lift. They have really great lift and everything.
Okay, Phantasm wings. These are the smaller ones, and then we'll talk about the rear wing and the fuselages. Smaller the wing, the faster they go. So these are all going to be faster wings. You can see kind of a change in aspect ratio here. Some of the lower aspect heritage wings, like the PFI 633. This is, you know, similar to the other 633 wings on the market. Very similar to the Apollo 60 that's out there. This is a classic. Everybody knows the 633. This wing is good as an intro to the sport or as a surf crossover for kiting. It's great for that. If you're looking to go a little faster, get into jumping, the PTM 684, which is a specific Phantasm wing. This has never been made before by Slingshot. This is a good option. Also great for lighter guys looking for the same speed range as the 633. Moving on up, you have the Fred Hope edition, which is the PFH, H for Hope. This is the 767. There's 3 sizes of his version. We just have one out here. And you're basically going to pick your size based on the speed you want and based on the weight you are. And any of the Fred Hope stuff is going to be pretty specific. So that's like a call and talk to us to get advice, or you'll know what you want, you know, just by reviewing the stats. This is a pretty advanced setup. If you've ever seen Fred Hope ride, you know what I mean, right? So the PTM 730, this is another one that's specific to the Phantasm setup. They never made it before. It's going to be racier, much faster. You can see how small that is. I mean, next to the 633, you know, about the same span, maybe a little wider with, I mean, definitely a little wider, way higher aspect, thin and sharp. So that's going to be more of a race style wing. This is going to be the jumper here. Either the smaller Fred Hopes or this guy is going to be foil jumping for days, right? So they only make one rear wing right now, the PS 400. There's going to be more rear wings coming. All the wings are mounted on the bottom of the fuselage. So you can see the fuselage here. This is one of our demo fuselages. The mast would fit into this king slot here. And then the rear wing is going to mount up underneath like this. And then all of the front wings are going to mount up like this. Wasn't kidding, lots of parts and pieces in this Phantasm lineup, but a little bit of something for everybody. Hopefully we did a decent job at kind of explaining the system. If you guys have questions or comments, you can comment on the video or shoot us an email, sales@houstonkiteboarding.com. Give us a call, 281-508-6485. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, that's cool. I'm getting ready to go. And then the drone starts backing up into the lines again. And I'm just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, oh yeah.